Hello and welcome to this West Yorkshire Football Show special. I'm your host, Stephen Downs. And with me as ever on the Town Talk specials, we've got Mr. Kane Hall on his mobile phone today. All right, Kane?
Good evening, my friend. Hopefully that will change very shortly, but this is where we're starting out with, yeah.
Yeah. And it's great to have you, mate. To be fair, Zach once did it from an airport, so it's no problem. Cal,
according to you, Steve, I am Zach anyway. But from apparently,
don't start.
All right.
He's not gone over that comment, has he? All right, calm down, big un. Callum, we've also got Callum Scott, professional journalist, an all-round hunky American. How are you doing, mate? Are you going to give us a thought process from stateside this evening about all things Huddersfield Town?
I think Town fans have heard quite enough from stateside over the last sort of week or two.
Well, that is probably true. Kane's
He's heard enough so much. He's left.
Oh, are we back?
What?
Kane,
Oh, bloody hell, this is high tech. This is getting good. This.
speak, Kane.
good evening.
There we are. There you go. All right, Zach. Right, okay.
I'm on it, boys.
On with the show, Zach. Right. So tonight we're going to be talking about Town's defeat in the FA Cup. We're also going to be talking about why haven't we got any leaders in the team, and a look ahead to the fixture this weekend against Crawley Town. But we'll start with the fact that Town did lose to a load of dustbin men, police officers, postmen, and whatever other job you can make up that's probably in the team. It was 1-0 to Tamworth. It was an overall crap night. 700 went down from the Terriers. But although we were expecting a win, we ended up with a defeat. I watched the game in Malaga in a Leeds United supporters bar. So my night probably was even 10 times worse than going to Tamworth. I'm not going to lie. First of all, Cal, did you watch the game? You obviously did. But where did you watch it? And what were your thoughts going into the game? Were you confident?
Of course, I was confident. We were playing Tamworth. We were playing a semi-professional football team. Of course, I was confident.
Okay.
And on the whatever before the game, they showed one of the players, the guy that was in goal. I think his name was Jai Singh or something like that. I don't know. They showed him leaving work at 4 p.m. to come to the game, to play the game.
Yep. We practiced, mate, for 2 days on Bradford Park Avenue's pitch.
I thought I was over being angry about this, but this is all just stirring it up, man.
Oh, well, we're letting the show now. If you could have a mental breakdown like that.
I'm not going to have a mental breakdown, but I am probably going to end up saying some things that may end up getting my season ticket cancelled.
Right, well, let's try not do that. Let's move on to Kane. Kane, first of all, Tamworth, I was confident. I think everybody was confident, like Cal says. But there was always the chance for an upset. And, we did speak about it, prior to the match the other week.
Absolutely buzzing for Tamworth, by the way. Unreal. What a result. What a result.
I forgot you were a Tamworth fan, yeah.
But, that's what the FA Cup's about. It's about them kind of results and everything that you get. But Town, awful. Absolutely shocking. It was so bad. It was so bad. And look, these semi-pro players, they're in it for everything they can get. And they absolutely deserved it on Friday. Danny Ward had to be dragged off at half time because he was shocking, which doesn't surprise me. We're playing on 4G here. That's a level playing field. You're a professional team that, as Carl said, them players are working on Friday. Some of them might have had to work on a Saturday, seeing as they had a game on a Friday. What were Town doing on Saturday? Probably recovering. Day off. Sunday, day off. Monday, recovering. What were they doing? At work on Monday, no doubt. The levels, it's just ridiculous the fact that Town lost that game. It should never have happened. The level of football as well. They look like they actually wanted to be there. Town
Yeah,
did.
100%. I think that was the most embarrassing thing for me, Kane. That not the levels of the teams, but the fact that we just could not be asked to get up for that game. And the fact is, like you said, big respect to Tamworth. They got up for it. That's the magic of the FA Cup, and that's what it should be all about. That in terms of the story. But I think, I was going back while I was having a few pints in Malaga. I was thinking, is that the worst result I've ever seen as a Town fan? And I actually think it is. I've seen some bad performances and I've seen some bad results, but I think that might be the most embarrassing result since I started supporting the club in 2009. I don't know about you.
It'll be up there. It'll be up there, Steve. I think what the worst thing about the whole result is, it's the actual performance was shocking. It was so slow. You're playing on 4G. That means that ball needs to be whipped about, quick passes. But instead, we continue to take 5 or 6 touches in the back four. We go to midfield. I don't see anybody on a half turn. The first touch is always back towards the defence. How do you create any kind of positive environment doing that? You can't. It's so dull, so boring, so slow, so backwards. You aren't going to win a game. And they had one major threat, which Michael Duff had clearly said to the players already, or if he didn't, why hasn't he? That they've got a long throw. They're going to use it. It's simple. They will slow you down. They will try and hurt you. They will try and bully you, and they will use the long throw. They did exactly all of that, and how a full-time football club couldn't deal with that is beyond me.
Yeah, Callum, they had one real weapon. I know they had a few corners and that as well, but realistically, the one weapon worked, and that was Tom Tonks chucking the ball in from 70 yards. I don't understand how a professional team, even on a different type of pitch, cannot tactically understand how to defend that. You're not asking for a difficult, sort of complicated tactic on the football pitch. It's a bloke chucking a ball and chucking it very well, by the way, but it's still having a throw-in and putting it in the box.
It is the basics of the basics. But what annoyed me more was, as Kane said, how we didn't nullify the threat straight away, because they would have known, or you'd hope they would have been told, that that's what they've got in the locker. That is what that player does. He is there to be a big man, and when the ball goes out for a throw-in, in an attacking sense, he is there to do exactly what he did. It's his only job. So why did we look like we couldn't change the way that we were playing? So we were still putting the balls out for a throw-in when it'd be easier and probably beneficial to put them out for a corner.
I'll be honest. For the first kick count set me off. I was like, within 2 minutes we booted it out of play. I was like, oh yeah, this is how it's going to go, is it?
It's laziness. It was laziness, and we took it for granted that we would beat them.
No intensity, Kane, in my view. No intensity. No thought about. Duff, obviously, I think, Duff clearly obviously tried to do his homework. I think there was, he said that there was nothing wrong with the preparation. And I was glad after the game that he was quite forthright, really, in his views. I think basically he said, look, it's the players' fault and it was a disgusting performance. And realistically, they need to have a look at themselves. And I feel like that was the right way to play it. We'll obviously come on to the crowd reaction later on. But, not one player came out with any respect for me. I mean, Radulovic, right? All right, we've said about Bojan and we want him to do well. But that's what he's done his whole career, play on AstroTurf pitches. I mean, this literally was on his home turf. And he was crap. He was rubbish.
I wish him well. I have to just correct the record there. I didn't wish him well.
Yeah,
I've never wished him well.
I've wished him well. I've wished him well because I think he's a good finisher once you get the ball to him in the box. Now,
Sorry.
it's all right. It's all right. We all see football differently, and that's what I love about this,
I
right?
don't really see it at all, but there we go. Carry on.
Well, all right, Steve. Well, let's try and explain it to you.
No. I'm not thick, Kane. I'm just disabled. But carry on.
Well, what you saying? What you're saying about Radulovic there, playing on 4G all the time? You're absolutely right. You got a point. But the issue was actually getting the ball up there. You look back at the foundations of the structure of the game, of the team, your defense. You have to sort your defense out straight away. That is the first and foremost that you need to sort out. We're taking 6 touches before we're finding a pass. We're holding the ball, we're waiting. It's slow. You can't get a player like Radulovic in the game if he's waiting for the ball to come to him all the time. He's going to be marked out. Same with Danny Ward. Now, I'm not going to protect Danny Ward because he was shocking. He did get bullied by a part-time player. And it's proved to me that is his level of football, and probably lower, actually. And it's like, yeah, we were all poor. Every single person was poor. And I said this last week, I think, in terms of when you spoke about the formation. If a team plays a very similar formation to Town, then Town are the better players. If they play a different formation, Huddersfield struggle. And it's shown again. And I want to touch on what Mark said in the comments. All our crosses were aimed at their goalie. They were shocking. Yeah. Shocking crosses. So we got to the final third and couldn't do anything with it anyway because our quality were poor. Now, for me, the amount of crosses that got put on the goalkeeper, I'm thinking they've been told to do that. Because no real player goes out there and goes, oh, I'll aim for goalkeeper. No matter how good or how bad you are, they don't. It just doesn't happen.
No, listen, right. In terms of the goal, I think if Maxwell doesn't go for it, technically in the rules of the game, it shouldn't have been given. However, there is no way on earth the referee is not going to give that goal because he's got no idea, neither is his linesman, whether anybody's going to touch that ball. So I discount that anyway. The second thing is, like you've said, Ken, and rightly pointed out by Mark, every cross, literally whether it was from open play or a corner, was in an inch of the goalkeeper's hands. Now, to me, how a professional player cannot take a different type of cross absolutely baffles me. Just want to come on to another comment. Teddy930, obviously, normally watches, was down at Tamworth. Sorry to hear that. And Matty Pearson was a disgrace at full time when we were booing them off, throwing his arms up in the air at the fans as if to say, why are you booing us? Well, we'll come on to that, to be fair. Yes, we will, Callum. Yes, we will. In terms of the team, Kane, your Pienda was put in. I was glad when I saw the lineup. That was as happy as I got all evening, to be fair. But the fact he was in the lineup, we thought, right, we might be able to see something. Showed a couple of little bits, if not like the whole team was crap, but he did at least try and get on the ball and make a few things happen. How did you think he did?
I thought he had a really poor first half. Really disappointed, to be honest with you, because he's a player that I really enjoyed watching in pre-season. Someone who I thought might come and flourish this season, but the first half were really poor. And I'm surprised he didn't get dragged at halftime like Ward did. Second half showed me a little bit more, but overall, that was his time to perform against some arguably lesser players. But are they arguably lesser players? They're just not.
Yeah, they are.
They're just on a different platform. No, I don't know, Steve. I don't want to be disrespectful because they have earned the right to be called better players. Literally, they have. All I would say is when you go into a semi-professional environment, it is tough out there.
Yeah,
and you will do everything to win. So when you're a young player going into that kind of environment, that kind of game, you will go hiding because they'll be nipping at you, nagging at you. They'll be in your ear. It'll be horrible. I just expected a bit more from him, but I'm not going to say, oh well, that's the end of him. It's not, because I think he's a fantastic young player. I just hope he gets more opportunities and sees that as a learning curve.
Callum, let's come on to the end of the game, right? So the end of the game happens. The TV switched off at Malaga, so I didn't see any of the aftermath of it, to be honest. There was a very visceral reaction from a part of the Town fan base that were there. Some people just left. I think some people stood there in stunned silence, to be honest, where the BBC cameras panned across them. And some people decided to vent their frustration in various language ways, but also with the booing sound. Duff came out after the game and said that the fans were right to boo him, right to boo the team, after the game. And he did say that back in August as well. If the team put in a crap performance, he will take that criticism. We'll come on to the X and the tweeting in a minute. But did you think it was right? And are you happy that Duff at least acknowledged that was the right reaction?
Yeah, I think it's the grown-up and realistic thing to do is to anticipate after a result like that some sections of the fan base are going to want to let you know just how unhappy they are. And it's almost like they want to not only let them know how unhappy they are with the performance, but maybe impress on some of the players that may not have the concept of just how big a defeat this was for us. And impress on the players just how unacceptable a performance like that was. So when people say, and I completely understand why they say it, that you shouldn't boo your own team, it's not helpful. The sort of criticism that they were getting from the fans at full time is not helpful. I think you've got to take a step back and sort of look at the situation and say, right, when it's a level playing field, if we're playing another team from League One and the team are getting booed off having lost 1-0, then you can say, right, yeah, that's a bit out of order because, these sides are the same level. They've only lost 1-0. They've put in a decent performance, whatever. It's not merited.
Yeah.
This result, 57 league places separated Tamworth and Huddersfield Town at the time of the game. They're in the national league, aren't they? Or national?
Yeah,
league?
National League. Yeah,
National League. So,
playing Halifax, playing Barnet, playing York City.
Exactly. So, and they are not one of the better sides in that division.
I think the 16th. I think the 16th.
They're one of the only semi-pro teams in there. Rest of them are professional.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
exactly. So, in a situation like that, where all of those things feed into it, I think booing the team off it is absolutely right because it was a disgrace of a performance that fans should be angry at.
What's the difference between booing? And I'll ask the same to you, Kane. But what's the difference between doing that during a game and after the game? Is there a difference? Is one acceptable and one not acceptable, or are they just both acceptable?
I think one lends itself to the other. If you're booing it during the game and nothing improves, then you're booing after the game, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I think one lends itself to the other, and I've no doubt that Town fans were booing during the game as well because there were some abysmal moments in what was an all-round abysmal evening.
Ken, what's your thoughts on during, after, and that whole thing? Because from what I understand, and Terrier 930 can tell me different. They were at the game. Apparently, the players sort of stood on the halfway line and did a bit of a clap, and then all moped off. Where Duff actually came up to as far as I know the penalty area and kind of fronted it up, from what I understand, which at least is something.
It doesn't surprise me that the players didn't go nearby.
No,
and that's all you need to know. I think fans pay their money. They spend time, so much money on following their team. this is across any kind of club. You're entitled to your opinion. It doesn't always go down well, but also when you're putting in that time and effort, you expect something back. Now, if Town would have lost on Friday, but have put in a really good shift, worked hard, you wouldn't have had any boos. Because Town lost, and it were a poor performance, and they didn't look like they wanted to be there, didn't work hard for each other. That's why they were booed. That's why there's been this weird atmosphere in the stadium, even when they've won, because the performance has been poor. People want to be entertained. You spend money to be entertained, not to be bored. You can do that by watching paint dry.
Do you agree with booing during the game?
You know what, Steve? I do because give me something. Making my frustrations known, because at the minute, if you sat there, you're going, what am I doing here? What am I doing here watching this? Give me something. Make them know that it's not good enough. Everybody, look, that is regardless of anywhere. Whether you're a coach, whether you go watch non-league, whether you go watch like Sunday league, you give people encouragement if something's not going right. But with 18,000 fans in a stadium, you're shouting encouragement. They can't hear you. They cannot hear you. So as a collective, if something's not happening, the kind of encouragement that you get from your crowd is probably a boo, and that should really kick the players up the ass and go, hold on a minute, something's not right here.
Mm-hmm. In terms of the result, Callum, Duff talked about the trust between the supporters and the players, and we talked about it last week. But, I mean, how damaging of a result could this be, really, I don't necessarily think between fans and Duff, but definitely fans and the players. And to be fair, relationship between fans and the players are already not necessarily at the highest point we've seen over the last decade.
No, I think the players this year are different to a lot of the years previous, in that now we're in a position that the players have to show us something in order to gain our support. They haven't earned it through playing well. The wins that we've got have been decent wins, but they've been expected wins. Bolton away, maybe you didn't expect us to go and rout them, but you want us beating most teams in this division. They've got to earn the sort of adoration we've seen from players such as Michael Heffeler. You've got to earn that, and that's not just what happens on the football pitch. The things all around the club have got to be sort of going in the right direction as well. There's got to be a positive feeling around the football club, and that isn't happening, and therefore the players are always almost a bit dubious, I think, of the fans as much as the fans are dubious of the players. Because I think the fans are to blame. In the players' minds, I think the fans are to blame for quite a lot of the problems in recent history.
And how do you feel about that, being a supporter?
Well, I don't feel like the Town fans have to be blamed for making their voices heard about when things haven't been good enough, because on and off the pitch for years it hasn't been good enough. And for some of those years, Town fans have gone, right, okay, we'll see what happens. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And I think more and more are now at a point where they're looking at the product being served up on the pitch. They're looking at the constant flux that we appear to be in off the pitch and thinking, right, this is enough now. If I don't make my voice heard now, this might stay like this forever, and we could become one of those teams that bounces between this division and the Championship, or worse, because it's not off the table.
Kane, we've kind of mucked up the agenda slightly in terms of its bullet points, but anyway, we'll get onto the other points in a second. But Callum does bring up an interesting thing that I think that is happening. Over the time I've supported the club since 2009, I've always felt that Town fans they're not the most volatile of fan bases. They don't necessarily kick up that much of a fuss compared to your Chef Wednesdays, your Leeds, your whatever. There's a lot. Even smaller fan bases within the EFL are more volatile than what Town fans tend to be. We kind of give the team a benefit of a doubt unless we see somebody like a Fotheringham who is just an absolute waste of space. But do you feel that there's been a change within the fan base over the last maybe 2 years, and now we are a volatile fan base?
I'd say the change was a few more years ago, when Town went into the Prem. It changed because you had people come out that weren't really fans before, and then ever since then, I do feel as if some fans feel as if Town are entitled to be there. It's not the case. I don't believe that is the case. We are a medium-sized club in the middle of Yorkshire, which has got plenty of other clubs in there. And I did enjoy being that underdog. That is what Huddersfield Town are. And that's probably why you've not really heard much from Town fans in the past, Steve, because we're the underdog. We'll just get on with it. It's fine. We don't need to worry about it. We know who we are, and we'll just keep fighting. Whereas it has changed since going into the Prem. It's gone, oh, hold on a minute. Maybe we are a bigger club. Or we're down into the Championship. Or play a final. We are a big club. We deserve to be there. We should be in the Prem. I just don't think we are that club. I don't think we are. I thought we were becoming very close to being a stable Championship club, which would have been fantastic for the size of the club in the area. Now, a lot of people will disagree with me, which is absolutely fine. Again, it's all down to opinion, and I love that. But we aren't a big club. We are not a big club. We're a medium-sized club. We were on the verge of becoming a good, steady, stable Championship club. But a few decisions with a few managers has sent us down the wrong way. And, as Carl said, it could be even worse if things don't change. But we have got the enough fans there now that do make their opinion heard. And I think it's a good thing because it's time for change in terms of that. Don't get me wrong. I still like the fact that we were the underdogs. I love that story. I know they're trying to change things with Terriers, everyone together. I can't really remember what it is right now, but
you'll get there.
Get there. But that is who Huddersfield Town are. We were the underdogs, and I think that's the best way to say that we are. But yeah, things are changing, and they are making the voices heard, which is great.
I see you've blanked out working class club, which we had for a little bit.
You know what? I didn't even mind that though, Cal. I didn't mind that at all because working class is hard working. It's hard working people that fight for everything.
It has to be perceived in a certain way, and the way that I perceived it was, if you support Huddersfield, you're probably poor.
I suppose I see where you're coming from. It is how you perceive it. I looked at this was we're hard working.
I can see that logic behind it, and that's definitely the logic they were going for. The delivery was less strong.
Right. Yeah, that's this is it though. This is why it's good to have these conversations because we all see it differently.
But it's like we're sort of, and I don't know if you'll agree, and you might not, and again, absolutely fine if not. But we've gone through these stages almost like we're trying to force an identity on ourselves. We're trying to look for an identity that we don't need to look for. Growing up watching Town, we were always mediocre, and that was all right. Because that made the good seasons better. Now we've got this illusion of grandeur, and we don't really know who we are anymore.
I think,
I agree. We don't know who we are. Sorry, Steve. I agree that we don't know who we are. I also do think an identity is good. Because it brings people together. It's certainly things that I look at when I coach is what's the identity of this club? What's the identity of this team? What are we looking to do? Something to work towards. Now, it might be different on a bigger scale like Huddersfield. But I do like an identity. But you're right. There's not been one for a while, or certainly wasn't one before the working class or the underdog kind of stuff. But now, who are we? What are we?
But I think also the fact is you have to look at bar the clubs that have gone out of business and whatever, things like Reading. I do think Huddersfield Town Football Club over the last, since 2012, has gone through one of the most transformational periods and volatile periods that a football club can have. We were promoted to the Stars. We were then pretty much humiliated in the second season of the Premier League. We built steady up to the Championship. We'd survived a couple of miracle seasons at the bottom of the Championship that first season. Then we started to build. Then we had a crap season under Chris Powell, but everybody kind of liked him in terms of his being a person, just not his football. Then Wagner came in, absolutely changed the club, got promoted to the Stars. It was just an absolute rocket ship of a season. Humiliated in the second season. The club got sold. Dean got ill. There's just and then just after that, it's just been absolute crisis after an absolute crisis, which has led us to this point here today. And I think there's been a lot of uncontrollable and unconscious damage that's happened, not just to the football club, but to the fan base within that. And I think you're right, Kane, that change happened in the first season of the Prem. As good as what that was, and we'll always remember that and always be thankful that it happened. I think that season changed us, and I also think this last two seasons has caused in some players and some supporters' minds a sort of damage that may never be fixed.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned there, when we went up into the Championship, we're a struggling Championship team. So getting to the Premier League, it's out of the blue, isn't it? It doesn't happen. So
on the back of 4 seasons being crap in the Championship, it's not like it was a steady build like Brighton did or Brentford did.
I think the best way to highlight just how sort of overnight the change in Huddersfield Town's fortune was in the season that we went up was that on one of the last games of the season, we lost 4-5 to Brentford at home, and then in the first game of the new season, beat them at home.
Yeah.
There's the change. It's clear and defined.
Yeah, Allison was in net that day, if anybody remembers him. What was his name? Luke Allinson? Anyway,
Lloyd Allinson.
Lloyd Allison, sorry. He was, young keeper.
And at Pontefract now. Pontefract Collieries.
Did play United for a spell.
I will bring it back on track to the agenda. So let's get to Kevin's tweet next, because that's what everybody does these days. Kevin tweeted after the game, basically putting a reply to a supporter saying that fans shouldn't boo, they should, support the team, and they should basically be kind of grateful for, yes, all right, it's been a bad defeat, but it's only one defeat. We've had 5 on the bounce where it's been good.
Steve, I think I've got the tweet. Do you want me to read it out?
Yeah, you read it out, Kane. Yeah,
it's journalism.
Journalism.
Let's offer a bit of clarity. I forget I'm dyslexic. I can't read.
You read some of the replies as well.
No, it's safe to say that not all your best starting 11 played the match together. Oof, I would have said that. Look back on the preceding 5 matches to get to somewhat better feel for what that looks like. That does not even take into consideration injured players who will be back in the next 30 to 60 days. It was a horrible result and no excuse. Hats off to the competition. But we should not be booing our players and manager and telling them to FO after the match. Let's stick together. Whether you want to believe it or not, there will be better days. Let's move on and not dwell on it. Thanks.
Okay, Callum, what was your reaction to that tweet? And please go through it bullet point by bullet point.
I don't have it in front of me, but what I did find funny was the crowbarring in of no excuses after 4 excuses were listed in the above. You're like, okay. And the whether you believe it or not, better days are coming. What's shown me that? What proof have I got that goes, right, yeah, better days are coming? We've crashed out of the FA Cup to a non-league, semi-professional football team. We're at our lowest ebb for 13 years. We've let good players come and go, good managers come and go. I'm going here now. This is great.
Here he is.
He's gone.
Here
What
he is.
have you provided that shows me that good days are coming? That every so often some supporters get to sit down and have tea with you in the boardroom. Come on. And not to use an Americanism, but get real, dude. Christ.
Right. Okay. So, Ken, I just want to go. I have let Callum. I did say to Callum that I would let him
Oh, God,
let rip that slightly because he was getting to a backache.
You're not
Kane,
getting invited to afternoon tea.
Kane, let's go through it and analyse it. So he put, let's offer some clarity and not say that not all your starting 11, he said to say that not all your best starting 11 play the match together.
Yeah,
now,
let me hold you there.
Yeah.
Pearson, Lees, Longvic, Kasumu, Wiles, that's 5. Some would say Ward. If you do still say Ward, then you're on a different planet. Radulovic has been starting recently. Turton apparently is a great professional, just struggling to get into the team in the minute. And somehow, Jaheim Headley keeps getting minutes.
And Maxwell's a decent championship, sort of backup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So I don't see, yes, we've got players out injured, but that team should have been good enough to beat Tamworth.
That team should be good enough to beat most other teams in League One.
So his second point then was look back on the preceding 5 matches to get a somewhat better feel for what that looks like. Well, it's an FA Cup game, so it's got nothing to do with the previous 5 league matches.
No, I get his point here. I get his point. I get Kevin's point. Beat Barnsley in the league, beat Barnsley in the Pointless Cup, beat Bristol Rovers, drew to Wrexham, beat Exeter. He's got a point with the results. He does have a point with the results. Performance-wise, still poor.
Okay.
But he does have a point with the results.
That's fine. That does not even take into consideration injured players who will be back in the next 30 to 60 days. I mean...
Keep an excuse counter up here.
60 days, Kane, is quite a long time, mate. I mean, that's... Is that Christmas? Yeah, we've had Christmas.
Just after Christmas, that?
Yeah,
just after Christmas.
New Year.
Yeah.
New Year. I mean, look, that's why they've got a big squad. The reason why Town have got a big squad is because of the amount of games that get played to swap and change and ensure that we have enough quality in there to stop any kind of injuries. Also, that's what you have an academy for. Use them players. That's why Iopenda's in there. For some reason, that's why Headley's in there. But I don't care about injured players. I don't. I don't really care about them. That team, that squad has enough quality. As I mentioned, that starting 11 against Tamworth is good enough to beat the majority of them League One teams. And what I would say, tactics-wise, that probably needs to be thought about. Playing slow, out the back, 6 touches on the ball before making a sideward pass, and then a first touch backwards is not good football. And that ain't going to win any games.
No.
Anyway, sorry, Steve.
It's all right. You don't have to apologise. So then he put, it was a horrible result and no excuses, just because Callum likes that line. That's off to the competition. Hats off to the competition, but we should not be booing our players and manager and telling them to F off after matches. Let's stick together, whether you want to believe it or not, blah, blah, blah. But that's where I lost. When I read the tweet, I just thought, and I'll be fair, I've interviewed Kevin. Thank you, Kevin, once again for letting me interview you. But we it's been great to interviewing him, and I think some things we have said and balanced on the channel that he's doing some things well off the pitch and things like that. And sometimes, what he says is good to hear, and it's great that he's so forthcoming communication-wise. However, sometimes his tweets don't send the right message. And I think, when he was like, after I think the Doncaster whatever cup, he was saying like not good enough. And that it was a not good enough performance and things needed to change. And then after arguably an even worse display against Tamworth in a more embarrassing defeat, he's come out and said that we should be more relaxed about it. That's where I think that there is a bit of that he's not quite understood the level of competition that we may have played. Callum.
Oh, you're a brave man.
Kane. No, Callum.
You cannot pick and choose when you conduct the chorus of Huddersfield Town supporters. You cannot pick and choose what you want them to be angry at. By the same token, you cannot then lecture them about competitions that, let's be fair, you probably know nothing about. Because we've said this before, and I keep going back to it. I refuse to believe that Kevin Nagle bought a football club with 10 days prior knowledge of its existence. I don't believe that. But that's what we are being fed as fans. That's the whole sort of picture that he saw this club and came over and had a look and spoke to Dean and then bought it and fell in love with the place and has now fallen in love with the club and everything like that. I'm not getting into the recent ATT minutes, but they are a hoot, by the way.
Yeah, let's leave that for a different podcast.
They are fabulous. However,
go read them by the HDSA Twitter account just to
absolutely fabulous. You cannot sit there having been a fan for 10 minutes and go, no, guys, that's not on. Being angry at the team losing to Tamworth in the FA Cup, that's not on. We deserve more respect. Do something that shows me why.
By a striker.
By a striker. Sack Bojan and Danny Ward.
I don't think that's quite in the contract, but Kane, it is. He does somehow get into a tease, doesn't he, on Twitter, and sometimes it's not in the best scenarios.
Yeah, I think there's a lack of understanding of the English competition. Obviously, I'm a big fan of my rugby, and I watch a lot of the Australian NRL, and they're quite similar of how they set up their competition in terms of how the Americans set up all of their competitions, where there is no competition; it's just a top league. And sometimes understanding relegation and promotion and cup competitions isn't always there for Americans because they've never always had it. And I do think he's still got a lot to learn about what the English game's really about. And I know he just takes a lot of things to heart because he's trying to do the best for a club. And, I'm sure a lot of people do appreciate that. But I think when you don't understand the whole thing, that's probably why he takes things a lot to heart. And, I think it's great that he's on Twitter, that he does, he replies to people, he makes comments, not everybody appreciates that. But, I do find it quite important and it's nice to have that openness from a chairman who is running a football club. But yeah, I think a bit more understanding of the game and certainly the English game will go a long way. But then you've got to think, well, he's got Jake Edwards as a CEO, he's got Mark Cartwright, there's Michael Duff. What are they saying to him? What are other people saying to him? Yeah. Because a lot of opinions is going to come from that. And that's how you build your opinions of stuff that you're not really too knowledgeable about. You listen to other people and you kind of take that for gospel. I mean, look at Darren Moore. Darren Moore's a great guy. Always said about Darren Moore being a fantastic guy, and I'm sure he is. Poor football coach.
We could talk about Tamworth all night, I'm pretty sure, but everybody wants to forget about it. And I'm sure if we're all sat here and we're a championship club next season, Tamworth will be a long distant memory in our minds that we will hopefully once forget. But for now, it's very clean in our memories, and we shall move on. Just a couple more comments here. Blue Terrier 19's put Friday night, put a lot of pressure on Saturday. We'll come to that. Hope this isn't the start of another bad run, as that will make Nagel's expectations of a top 2 impossible. Terrier 930 says Joe Taylor, our saviour in January, Luton's 5th choice striker who can't even get a game in Luton's squad. And Mark says this is about Nagel. He put out an initial tweet about how bad it had been, and he saw the fans and back to work now, or words to that effect. He should have left it at that. A quick topic before we come on to Saturday. Callum, why do we have no leaders in the team? 2016-17, Wagner goes out, signs a load of captains. I interviewed, I was in around the press box in that time. Interviewed Christopher Schindler on many, many occasions. Chris Lerver, quiet people, but led from the front, led by example.
Quiet people.
Well, they were. Chris Lerver didn't, in terms of the personalities, you didn't see him giving absolute rollickings out on the pitch. You didn't see Chris Schindler doing that. But, they were leaders. They were captains at their previous clubs. Michael Heffler was a previous captain at his club. Yes, Ken.
If you keep mentioning Christopher Schindler like that, I'm going to have to end this podcast pretty quickly because it's getting warm in here.
All right.
Oh, my guy.
Right.
I know. Yes, it does send us all town fans on heat, seemingly enough. When I mentioned that sexy footballer, but the point is there were a lot of leaders in that team, and now we don't seem to have any at all. Apart from Johnny Hogg, who now plays the odd game. Callum, that is a massive problem in this town squad, and it has been for 2 seasons. What can we do about it?
It is, but the problem is born out of something that we spoke about last week. There is no leaders in this team because there is no personality in this team. There are no leaders in the team because I think they're all worried about poking their head up above the parapet and going, right, lads, we need to sort this out, or we need to do this, or we need to play like this. Because you'd have thought there are experienced players in that team. Experienced enough to be the leaders that we need them to be. Pearson would be a prime example for me of someone that could step into that role. Obviously, Hoggy's still around, should still be giving him a rollicking in training. I know he don't get near playing squad these days, but whatever's going on there, that's personal. Probably. He's probably called out Nagel on his tweets or something. I don't know. But there are players with the experience to step into that role. Why aren't they doing it is the question we need to be asking. Why aren't the players putting their head above the parapet and going, right, this isn't good enough. This is the way we should be playing. This is the direction. And we need to see that on the pitch. We need to see players giving out to each other saying, why aren't you backing me up? Why aren't we doing this? You want to see that passion. Because with the passion and the desire, you have no limits.
He brought out the old cliche there. Get the foam finger out. Get it out. Kane, just why can't we just have a couple of players that can lead the team? This is what I don't understand though. Like Callum's named about 4 or 5 lads there that are in the 30s that have been there and done it, and sort of they've got the t-shirt, and yet we just see nothing. And it boggles my mind.
Yeah, let me just add a few more names to that. In fact, let me just go through it all. Lee Nichols.
Yeah.
Michael Hellick, Tom Lees, Matty Pearson, Brodie Spencer, captain Motherwell while out on loan there last year. Ollie Turton. You'd also argue in maybe Anthony Evans. You've got Jonathan Hogg. Josh Ruffles apparently is a big leader off the field. Reece Healy's getting towards that age. Freddie Ladapo, although he's just come into the team. Danny Ward. All players, all old enough to be able to step up and take that role as a leader. Now, what I would say is, I think they lack a little bit of direction and what they actually need to be doing. I feel as if that the current tactics and the current formation is quite confusing. Therefore, what we're getting is players looking at each other going, should I have done that? Should you have done that? Why didn't you do that? Do I need to do that? Oh, we'll worry about it later. That's just my general feel. I just feel as if it's a bit more of a. I feel as it's very confusing at the minute for the players. Now we can all step up and have a go at each other, which is kind of going out of the game. It's kind of going out of the game. I try and keep a positive environment when I'm coaching. It's not always easy because sometimes I can be quite blunt. I'll put it that way. Because
shock.
Really?
Yeah, I know. But I am trying to put them onto a next level for where I coach. You know, these boys are aiming to be semi-professional, the lads that I'm coaching. And once you go to that next level, you've nowhere to hide. You have nowhere to hide. Yeah. So although I try and keep it a positive environment, that there's still harsh words in there. But if you're having a go at someone at the minute on the field, when things aren't going right the way, it's probably not. It's going in one ear and out the other. And also, they're having a go at them, but I'm thinking, do they know why you're angry with them? Do they actually know why? Because at the minute, I generally feel as if they are not 100% with what they need to do. I'd probably say they're probably 65-70% knowing what they need to be doing out there, and that for me is probably why, Steve, you think why it may look as if they're leaders.
But the caveat to that is, when somebody boots a ball out in the first 2 minutes, why ain't somebody say, like getting an hold of them and saying, "Look, come on, we're 2 minutes into the game. Like you've got to be intense. You've got to be ready. Like you can't be lackadaisical. Like that. That's nothing to do with tactics for me. That's to do with the intensity of that player not being ready for the game."
I think it comes full circle, to be honest with you, Steve. It's all part and parcel of it. You're talking there. That's one game. That's one instance where someone's not being awake. But why are they not awake?
So why have we had 3 managers or 4 managers all saying it's a quiet group? Like even Neil Warnock, who is a Championship God manager. He came in and the first thing he said is, "I don't have many leaders here." And it took all his energies probably to create some, but now they've just gone back into the shell again.
Yeah, don't believe everything Neil says.
Don't worry, I don't.
He's a smart guy. He's a smart guy.
But what I do think is, if four managers or whatever we've had are all saying the same sort of thing, it must mean something. It's like I always say, if 20,000 people see something that's happened in the stadium and they're all calling it out to the referee, but the only guy or woman, in the middle that doesn't see the incident and gets it wrong, 20,000 people can't be all wrong, can they?
I think there's
I'm glad you remembered it with 2024 then, Steve. Sorry, go on, Cal.
I think there's an important caveat to add to all this, and I understand what you're saying, Steve, about the last 4 managers have said, "I've got no leaders," or "There's no leadership." But for most of those managers, bar Warnock, the players are also looking at them and going, "Well, you're not a leader."
Yeah, no, that's a fair comment.
Fotheringham, not a leader, barely a football manager, and definitely not a German.
Hardly a Scot in it.
Well, whichever one you want to pick out of that multitude of accents.
Don't forget in there you had Jonathan Worthington.
Yeah, and Danny Schofield. Respected around the club, but not leaders.
Jonathan Worthington, well, for me, he made them play well. He got them playing.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
How much was that worthy, and how much was that, Jesus Christ, thank God he's gone?
I'd probably say 50-50.
And I would also
I'd agree with that, but I don't agree with people that say that it's all worthy.
No, but I would also chuck into that probably Worthy did the best of what was an absolutely horrendous squad attitude at the time in some quarters of the squad. And he's only a young coach. You have to remember that. Like,
Yeah, but
he had some bottle to take the job, didn't he?
He did, but he put on a good, nice, standard formation that everybody knew and got them working hard and found pockets of spaces, and that it was that simple. He'd give them a bit of confidence, a bit of freedom.
I might get you a T-shirt, Kane, that just says for Christmas, "F off the 352," because you're just not having it, are you, lad?
No, I'm not feeling it. And
you're like Gaz at Bradford City. We have a lad called Gaz who Mark Hughes at Bradford played 3-5-2, and he absolutely hated that system. He liked with a passion.
I watched that a fair bit under Mark Hughes, and it was shocking. It were an absolute joke. And it clearly didn't work. Anyway, also you can get me a t-shirt about confidence, because confidence is key.
All right, I'm not getting you 2 T-shirts. You greedy sod. Got to leave got to leave some money in the kitty for Cal, haven't I don't know what I'm going to get Cal yet. Okay,
well,
so
you don't need to get Zach anything because he's never here. So
wow, call Zach out now. Ooh, he's getting tasty. Right, okay, but well, before we have a punch up, we'll move on to Saturday's game, where we're playing a very, very unconfident, in your words, Kane, Crawley Town, who have got rid of the manager that got them up and somehow miraculously did all right for the first 5 games, and then he's left in Lindsay, and since then they have rocketed to the bottom of the league, where everybody predicted them to be in the first place because they literally sold every good player they had. Callum, if we don't win this game at the weekend, it might genuinely be as bad as the defeat to Tamworth.
Disagree.
Okay.
Because
carry on.
Crawley Town, although a terrible football team, we're all admitting that, are in the same league and are professional footballers. So it would be a bad defeat, and it would be so Town to lose it. So Town.
1-0 from a throw-in.
1-0, Crawley, bang, done, finished. But we really have to watch this game, because this could be the start of us saying goodbye to our automatic chances. There's no two ways about it. We need to pick ourselves up from Tamworth, dust it down. The players need to look at it as you know, a chapter in a season that's over.
Confident here from Teddy 930, by the way.
Not as confident as me. But if we have some sort of hangover from it, that could have a knock-on effect for the rest of the season, and that could be detrimental for us.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't want to look too far ahead, Kane, but we have got Wickham, who are flying and scoring goals for fun. And then Charlton after that. I mean, we have to be getting 3 points on Saturday, don't we, mate?
Need a reaction. That simple. If you don't get a reaction and you don't get one over the next 3 weeks, I would be very concerned if I were Michael Duff.
Who do you think Kane should not play at the weekend after the Tamworth game?
Who should not play?
But yeah, who can play in your mind?
Who can play?
Yeah.
Oh, Kasumu can play.
Okay.
Pearson can play.
Your favourite?
You're naming footballers that should play or that just can play football.
That should play.
Lee's here for a while.
Yeah, Lee's.
Hudlin can play.
Oh.
He's still out on loan, so he can't.
From the players that started against Tamworth, Kasumu, Lees, Pearson should all be starting.
Right. Okay.
I am not a fan of Longwick. I know some people are, but I technically I think sometimes that boy, his passing is horrendous, by the way, and sometimes his touch is awful. So I am not convinced on him.
So who would you play then? So you got Pearson Lees as in your centre backs, because he's not changing 3-5-2, so you can't change formation. So you're
He's
going to have
well, still injured.
And why can't I change it?
Well, because Duff isn't going to change it.
Well, do you want me to tell you how to win, or do you want me to tell you what Duff should play in that
All right,
formation?
Jose Mourinho.
You know what I mean?
Just because he's like, you know, saying he's a half decent semi-professional coach. He's coming on here like Guardiola now, isn't he?
Look, I'm just telling you, if they
I am
want
the half-decent semi-professional coach. Thank you very much.
Hey, look, it's an under-23s team. I'm not even at that level. But my point is, if you wanted to go and win a game, change the formation. Simple as.
Right.
But you know, he's going to play that same back three. There's no doubt about it. Chapman will go in there as well. He'll probably play Kasumu. He'll probably play Wales, and he'll play Herbie Kane, and he'll have Marshall starting. He'll have Miller on one wing, and I'd imagine he's probably going to put Turton on the other, even though Brodie Spencer would probably be a better option. And yeah, for some reason, Ward will probably start up front with Callum Marshall.
Nah, Karoma's back. He'll pick Karoma, won't he? I think.
I don't think he'll go straight into the lineup. Plus, again, if he actually played a different formation, Karoma won't play out wide. Won't play through the middle. He'd play out wide.
All right, Callum, because Kane just definitely didn't answer my question, but
I was so busy agreeing, I forgot what the question was.
All right, so the question is, who should play on Saturday?
All of those players, but in a different formation, and Josh Karoma.
Right, okay. Just to get to people's comments, we've got Terrier 9, Blue Terrier 19 says, not saying I'm Duff out, but if we go on another bad run, you could see Duff getting sacked. Yeah, I think we agree with that, really. I don't think he can afford to go on another bad run, to be honest. Mark says we've lost 6 away games already this season, including cup ties. Let's hope it's not a 7th. And James says Long Vike plays. Laugh out loud. I don't know whether, James, that means that you're agreeing with Kane that he shouldn't, or what? Let's take it that you agree with Kane, because Kane's an all-seeing God.
Thank you. I'm glad you finally appreciate me, Steve.
Well, I wish Zach were here, but no, I'm only joking. Okay.
Wow. Imagine. Oh, Kane, will you come and be on this podcast with me? I turn up week in, week out, and that's it. That's what I get.
You do. I love you to bits, mate. Okay, so what are we going for as a prediction to end the podcast, Callum? For Saturday.
Don't make me do this.
Well, I've made you do it, and I'm the host, so you're doing it.
I genuinely think it's going to be 1-0 Crawley.
Do you actually? I can't sit on here with you next week and we've lost again. I can't.
Yeah, you sort it, mate, because you might have to. Because they're gonna play like Northampton did.
Yeah, they are.
They're gonna look to frustrate us. They're gonna sit deep. We're gonna try and play onto them. They're gonna play a long ball. It's gonna be 1-0. Okay,
Kane, add some positivity.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be 1-0 to Crawley. I think it'll be 1 apiece.
Okay, it's not much better, but fair play.
I just don't see Town giving the reaction that that it needs. And if Crawley have any brains about them, they'll play a 4-3-3. Beat Town.
Said that so sarcastically. I loved it. If Crawley have got any brains about them, which they probably don't.
Look,
right.
Best way to beat Town is don't play the very similar formation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've come to some agreement on that Town against Tamworth was probably the worst display in Town's recent history. We've also said that people shouldn't be tweeting. And we've also agreed that 352 should be put in the bin. So it's been a really, really successful podcast. We found out that Kane is not Zach, and also that he's a semi-professional, fantastic coach. And Callum, has added his usual fandom.
As angry as always.
As angry as always. It's been a great podcast. Thank you very much, everybody, for taking part and getting all your comments in. Loved it as ever. Please go to the channel and live, comment, subscribe, whatever, share. That would be fantastic. We really do appreciate the support. I'm sure there's going to be a Leeds United show at some point. I think they're playing tonight.
Why would you watch that?
They're currently 1-0 down.
Are they actually? Okay, we can't laugh, boys. Right, we lost to Tamworth, but never mind. Okay, so
let me enjoy it.
So please do check out if there is any reaction from Jay or Steve or whatever, and I'll probably see you next Monday to review Crawley beating us 1-0. So thank you everybody for taking and watching, and we'll see you very, very soon on the channel. Goodbye.